Activision-Blizzard's earnings call makes changes to the monetization of Modern Warfare, well, pretty darn clear. China's gaming regulator has doubled down on anti-addiction measures, in a rather draconian fashion of course. Another Anthem head has departed BioWare, and Death Stranding's release has Hideo Kojima thinking about his future. All of that and more on today's edition of the Roundup. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Roundup. Of course, be sure to like, sub, and ring that bell to let the algorithm gods know that you're enjoying the content. And with that, let's get right into the content. Earnings season continues with Activision-Blizzard being the latest to report. Now, performance-wise, things are actually looking pretty darn good for Blizzard, especially in the Warcraft side. Net revenues for Q3 2019 were $394 million, with an operating income of $74 million. WoW Classic drove the largest quarterly increase in WoW sub numbers in the franchise's history, and with deep engagement continuing since its release. MAUs across Blizzard's franchises were 33 million, that's against 36 million for Activision. Overall, it's a massive win for Classic, probably giving World of Warcraft its best numbers in a very, very long time indeed. Then over on the Activision side of things, Q3 recorded 209 million net revenue and 26 million in operating income. That's lower year on year because of Destiny's absence and a bit of a lapse in COD's back catalogue. Now that said, the COD franchise is performing very well though, with COD Mobile hitting 100 million downloads and being the top 10 highest grossing across many different regions. And in fairness, as far as mobile shooters go, yeah, it's well implemented. Now, Bobby Kotick said that consumer marketing will be a priority going forward and that Activision will be investing heavily in COD Mobile to get as many players as possible, which, hey, not a big surprise, makes sense. Next, Modern Warfare is also off to a strong start, and expectations are bolstered by positive community responses to the game's progression and monetization thus far. Modern Warfare's sell-through is 15 to 19% higher than Black Ops 4, with PC sales up 50% on last year's entry. Now, the call concluded with a Q&A, and this gave us a bit more of an indication of future plans regarding the monetization of Modern Warfare, and it's what you'd expect. So, Bobby Kotick confirmed they will be implementing a new Battle Pass system to Modern Warfare, and that they think it's the right move for players to do it that way. The Chief Financial Officer, Dennis Durkin, added that they're always very careful when modeling these new initiatives, particularly in launch quarters like this one, and with the timing of it. That's his quote. Bit of an awkward quote, but as always, the point here is we knew this would happen. We knew that the microtransactions would come in later. They actually said as much in a pre-launch community post, but the real thing here is we need to wait and see if they stay fair. And believe me, I'll be waiting to see, and if they mess up and they go against what they said, I'll be on them pretty darn quick. Then next up, and on the subject of Blizz, it's actually hard to believe that we're a month on from the whole Blitzchung controversy. We've now heard, though, from the Hearthstone team via a post-BlizzCon interview, and this is where their creative director and their game director admitted that basically, they wished management handled it a bit more carefully. Now, they did mostly toe the company line, right, of, saying they moved too quick, so the Hearthstone guys said that the initial punishment was too harsh, that Blizzard should have taken more time. That's a safe thing to say, because that's what Jab said at a BlizzCon. Now, the interview did give us a bit more insight into the atmosphere within Blizz because of the controversy. Apparently, staff were encouraged to voice their concerns a lot internally, and the interviewees noted that for many staff, this situation, like the Hong Kong angle, was felt on a much more personal level, which, does make sense. It's a large company. Now, that said, Ben Thompson did reiterate the limitations of this sort of encouragement of expression, stating that personal views should not be shared via official Blizzard channels. He states that streamers and content creators are free to say whatever they want on their own platforms, and that the Hearthstone pros can do the same on their own platforms, just not in the tournaments, which is a bit odd because Jab said to PC Gamer that was the case, but, one of the, was it Dallas Fuel, like their coach, got in trouble for saying things on his own social media. So obviously the implementation of that is a little bit iffy, and we're assuming this has been a policy the entire time. So I really do want to see a bit more clarity there on that specific situation from Blizzard. Overall, though, they mostly reiterated Jab's statement. They said that they think the punishment now is actually right, but they do wish things were done a bit differently, and they said there was room for growth and education going forward. And I suppose there is, and maybe if this happens again, we won't see such a quick shutdown of the player. Okay, next up, Chab Robertson, who is BioWare's head of live services and basically the guardian angel of Anthem. Well, he announced last week that he would be leaving the company after 14 years. Now, this is only the most recent high-profile departure from BioWare and actually from Anthem, following the former lead producer Ben Irving's departure back in August. Now, Robertson assured fans on Twitter that they can expect great things ahead and that both Anthem and BioWare are left in good hands. Robertson is undoubtedly going to be upbeat, though. I mean, it is his departing thing, but, well, his words are not going to instill a lot of optimism with people. Robertson effectively was the face of BioWare's continued support for Anthem, and with his departure, I mean, at least the optics don't look particularly good for the game. But still, someone there is clearly doing something with Anthem because, well, stuff is actually happening. There are updates coming to the game. To celebrate N7 Day, they released a set of Mass Effect-inspired armors, but, well, you know, they were for $8 each, which doesn't really make it that much of an exciting thing. But, I mean, still, you did have the recent Season of Skulls event, so they did something there, and the game has actually resumed its weekly updates. That's something that went dark for a while, so really, I'd say we just need to wait and see for the upcoming fundamental game changes, because they basically need to do an Anthem 2.0 update. But if they do, hey, hopefully it'll be good. I mean, I don't wish them ill. Then next up, Hideo Kojima is looking to the future, saying on a BBC documentary that he would like to get a bit more experimental with his games. He's also looking closely at cloud tech. He thinks streaming will change the face of gaming, and he's actually interested in what streaming could facilitate with games. Now, for me, the main takeaway of that is that he's thinking about what type of games the technology could enable, and that means that he's not just thinking about it only as a distribution method, so that's kind of interesting. Then past that, he said he's also interested in filmmaking, which, I mean, isn't really that surprising. Overall, I've still got to play Death Stranding, but if his next game's to be more experimental, then I mean, hey, I'm definitely interested in seeing that. Then next up, China's long-standing campaign to curb video game addiction has taken another leap forward with the enactment this week of a new set of curfews for the nation's children. Under the new rules, which officials say are motivated by a desire to basically meet health concerns, gamers under 18 will not be permitted to play online between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. They will be limited to 90 minutes of playtime on weekdays and 3 hours on weekends and over holidays. No more than 400 yuan, that's about $57 is to be spent on in-game purchases each month. Now, these rules are going to be enforced by the introduction, and this is the really bad bit, of new real name requirements and age verification. Now, the Chinese government first introduced anti-addiction measures to games for minors in 2007, but mobile games were exempt from that. Since then, though, the popularity of mobile gaming has grown quite a bit in China, along with the perceived need for official scrutiny there. The People's Daily, which is a state newspaper that's pretty much a government mouthpiece, criticized Tencent's phenomenally popular Honor of Kings in 2017 for its addictive qualities and have called for tighter regulations in 2018. Now, the new rules are basically the culmination of several years of continued efforts to control the supposedly damaging effects of video games on China's youth. And I'd say this, the state replacing the role of parents. What could possibly go wrong? Anyway, next up, Square Enix. They've released their financials, and it's interesting in how uninteresting it is. They've grown, right, with net sales for the 6 months ending September 30th, 2019 being up 8.2% from the same period 2018, with profits being up 32%. The most significant releases during the reporting period were the Switch version of Dragon Quest XI and the Xbox One version of Final Fantasy X/X-2 HD Remaster. And then over in MMO land, Shadowbringers did really well and also saw a general increase in subscription numbers. So basically, and this is why I say it's interestingly uninteresting, yeah, if you make games and people enjoy those games, turns out your money number will go up. Then finally, 2 quick fires. First, remember those unskippable NBA 2K19 adverts? They're back. Big surprise, they're in 2K20. And then finally, a Rockstar Games funny. Rockstar accounts can have passwords of 32 characters. The Rockstar launcher can only take 30 character passwords, so yeah, they kind of messed that one up, didn't they? Anyway, that's it for today's Roundup. I hope you enjoyed the show. Let me know what you think about the stories we covered down below, and with that, I will see you next time.